And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Monday, January 24th, where the IndianCountryTV.com TV crew are out here just a little bit east of Rapid City, South Dakota. And today we're going to give you an update on the sentencing of John Boy Panton Graham of Whitehorse, British Columbia, who was sentenced today in the Rapid City, South Dakota County Court for the 1975 execution murder of Annie Mae Pictou Aquash. And for those people who need a little background on that, it was in the year 2001 when the indictments were issued for John Boy Panton Graham and Arlo Looking Cloud. Arlo Looking Cloud was convicted of aiding and abetting murder in the year 2004, and it's taken almost 10 years for the extradition and the pre-trial motions and extradition, the jurisdictional issues that have gone into this case to be argued. And then in December of last year, 2010, the trial was held during a 2-week period, and a 12-member jury in state court came to the conclusion that John Boy Graham was guilty of felony murder. And today we go to Rapid City, South Dakota, and we speak with Denise Pictou Maloney, the daughter of Annie Mae Pictou Aquash, and we also talk to State Attorney General Marty Jackley, who tells us a little bit about what maybe the future will hold, whether this is closure or just the beginning. Some sense of justice been served with him finally being sentenced to life in prison without the probability of parole.
Yes, I do, and my family does believe that justice has been served. He's had 35 years to live his life as a free man. The decision of life without parole to us is more than my mother was given. She was delivered a death sentence, and we really do think that justice has been served here.
When there's been people who believe that somehow this might be closure of some kind.
I don't like to use that term closure because it means a finality and putting things behind you, and I believe that my mother's work is always evolving. Her death was not the only death that occurred during that era. There are other people that were murdered during that time that have not received justice: Ray Robinson, Johnny Moore, and these are all people that deserve the same justice that my mother received.
Have you had some conversations with some of these families of these other victims? Do you feel like you're in the same boat? Are they looking for you to be anything, or where do they feel?
Well, I don't think they're looking for me to be anything other than providing them with some insight and some hope that the justice will come. You know, like our family, they've waited a long time just to hear some of the truth come out, and knowing that they're able to have a little bit of faith in the justice system, that justice will prevail. I think that's more the connection that I have with them, and in understanding that a lot of them, well, for both cases specifically, they received the same judgment that my mother was delivered, which was, you know, being accused of being an informant, and then her life being taken away in their lives.
Do you feel like justice has been served in the case of John Graham at this point?
Yep, I do believe that. As I mentioned, you know, my mother was never given that opportunity. She was delivered a death sentence, and for him to have a life sentence and have that opportunity to live his life for a little while longer, you know, even if it is behind bars, he's gotten more than my mother ever had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you anticipate that this is going to be the end of cases regarding the Annie Mae Aquash murder, or do you think there may be other situations? What he believes may occur?
The Aquash investigation remains an open and an ongoing investigation to hold anybody responsible that had involvement in this criminal venture. So it remains ongoing and it remains open.
You feel pretty comfortable about what happened with so far in this case? You were involved in the Harlow Looking Cloud case, and you were involved in John Graham specifically.
You know, I'm very comfortable from a standpoint that I think, especially the trial of John Graham, that was most recent, was a very fair trial. That justice was served. That Mr. Graham had all the fairness in the American justice system to present witnesses that he chose to cross-examine witnesses, and I think overall the evidence was overwhelming about the criminal venture that really John Graham was so much a part of from the minute it started in Colorado, where they had really tied Annie Mae Aquash up, placed her in the trunk of a vehicle, and brought her to Rapid City, South Dakota, where, as witnesses described it, she was interrogated, crying at the Wounded Knee Legal Defense Offense Committee, and then ultimately, was shot execution style in the Badlands.
Justice has been served?
I think justice has been served in part. I mean, certainly there are more individuals that are responsible for the actions that occurred 35 years ago. The question is whether or not the cooperative efforts of law enforcement continuing can bring those individuals to justice.
And that is the latest news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'm Paul DeMain reporting for IndianCountryTV.com from near the Badlands, just north of the Pine Ridge Reservation and just east of Rapid City, South Dakota. Miigwech for joining with us today. Come back again soon.